Welcome to this explainer. We're diving straight into something that lives deep, deep down in our collective psyche, that primal, completely universal fear of forbidden woods. We're going to explore how something that absolutely terrifies us in the dead of night might actually be one of the most brilliant survival mechanisms humanity has ever come up with.
So what is it about the woods that terrifies us? I want you to really think about it for a second. Almost all of us have felt it, right? You stand at the edge of a dense forest as the sun starts to go down, and suddenly that tree line turns into this solid wall of shadows. It taps directly into our childhood fears and our modern anxieties. We instantly start imagining things watching us from the dark. But as we'll see today, that fear isn't just some random glitch in our brains. It's actually a story we tell ourselves.
And to get a sense of just how global this really is, listen to this sign-off from a popular Arabic YouTube storyteller. The monster of the forest that makes its people disappear. I mean, it really doesn't matter what language you speak or where you live. The internet is literally flooded with lore about forest monsters. It's become so deeply rooted in our modern zeitgeist, we just love to scare ourselves with the idea of what might be lurking behind the trees.
Let me walk you through the anatomy of a classic internet horror story, what you'd call a creepypasta online. Step 1. A hiker wanders into some so-called forbidden forest that's rumored to be a portal to the afterlife. Step 2. They find a cave marked with strange symbols, and bam, they're suddenly hit by an overpowering scent of rotting decay. Step 3. They look down into a pit and find freshly mutilated corpses. Absolutely terrifying, right? But step 4 is the real kicker. The hiker runs, grabs the police, they race back to the cave, and there is absolutely nothing there. No blood, no bodies, just an empty rock. It's the absolute peak of fictional online horror, designed specifically to make your skin crawl. Okay, but let's step away from internet fiction for a minute and look at a very real, physical place on the map. Welcome to the Hoia Baciu Forest in Romania. Locals actually call this place the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. It's this square mile of ancient native woodland near the city of Cluj-Napoca, and it's famous for trees that grow in these strange, twisted, melted-looking spirals. It really exploded onto the global stage back in 1968 when a military technician named Emil Barnea photographed what he claimed was a UFO hovering right over a perfectly circular clearing. And ever since then, it has been an absolute magnet for ghost hunters and paranormal investigators.
Now, with a spooky reputation like that, you'd probably think people are disappearing left and right. But local tour guide Marius Lawson leads night walks through this incredibly creepy forest 3 times a week. And when people ask him about the terrifying legends of hikers vanishing without a trace, he just smiles. Because his ghost tours boast a 100% return rate. Literally everyone comes out perfectly safe.
Actually, a journalist writing for The Guardian recently went on one of these night tours. He went totally armed with an EMF meter to detect electromagnetic fields. He stepped into that famous UFO clearing, and suddenly, the needle just started ticking madly. He was terrified. He legitimately thought he was making contact with the other side. The reality? It was just his cell phone receiving a text message. Yeah, that totally mundane reality completely punctured the paranormal dread.
Which brings us to a really interesting point. If the EMF spikes are just text messages, and the tour groups always come back safely, and the internet stories are completely made up, why are the stories so incredibly powerful? Why do our brains insist on populating the woods with monsters? Well, it turns out we've kind of been asking the wrong question. We shouldn't be questioning whether or not ghosts exist. We should be looking at the highly practical, real-world utility of human fear.
The answer here lies in social conditioning. A recent academic paper in the Journal of Infrastructure Policy and Development studied this exact phenomenon. And they found that ghost stories aren't just for cheap thrills around a campfire. They're actually an ingenious, ancient psychological mechanism. Society actively uses these stories to condition individuals, shaping what they fear to ultimately control community behavior. Basically, we invent monsters to keep people in line.
And what exactly are we trying to keep in line? Honestly, human greed. Because the real monster isn't a ghost at all. It's deforestation. That famous haunted Romanian forest, Hoia Baciu, is currently threatened by the massive expansion of Cluj-Napoca, which has kind of become the Silicon Valley of Eastern Europe. Developers want to clear those twisted trees for apartment blocks. Meanwhile, all the way across the globe, in the forests of East Kalimantan in Indonesia, the exact same threat of human development is destroying the natural ecosystem.
And this is where the science gets truly fascinating. Researchers studying traditional communities in Indonesia found that locals purposefully harness the fear of ghosts to, as the journal puts it, encourage social conditioning to carry out activities in the forest. These communities are using terrifying folklore to enforce strict taboos. Think about it. If you're terrified of the woods, you are definitely not going to go in there and chop down trees indiscriminately. You won't destroy the ecosystem.
The Pasé people of East Kalimantan actually structure this psychologically. They have a very specific spiritual hierarchy. You have the Sengyang, which are the good ancestral spirits and helpers, usually associated with the color white. But then you have the Banggai and the Uwak. These are the earth spirits and the bad ghosts, associated with black, and they are designed specifically to terrify you.
These Uwak act as the phantom protectors of the forest, and they are horrifyingly specific. You have the gender Wo, tall, black, hairy entities that kidnap people. You've got the Kilakintikiti, which are smaller male stalkers. Then there's the Bansi, a ghost that literally cries like a baby girl, throws a magic leaf that looks like an infant to trick its prey, and attacks people who enter the forest without permission. And the Dayang, beautiful women with deadly long nails who specifically target men. These aren't just random scares for fun. These stories are explicitly told to deter bad behavior, like illegal logging or even just disrespectfully urinating on the sacred trees.
So here's how the strategy actually plays out. Step 1. Terrifying stories of the Uwok and the Bansi are shared throughout the community. Step 2. This creates really powerful social taboos, which are known as pamali, clearly dictating what you absolutely cannot do in the forest. Step 3. Because everyone is too afraid to violate the pamali, the trees aren't cut down, the ecosystem is totally respected, and the forests are conserved. It is a highly effective, community-driven, psychological boundary.
We love to pride ourselves on our modern skepticism, don't we? We chuckle when the ghost detector turns out to just be a text message. But if the fear of ghosts, these phantom protectors, is the very thing successfully saving our ancient forests from complete human destruction, is the line between imagination and reality really that important? Sometimes a well-placed monster is exactly what the world needs to survive. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep exploring, and hey, maybe show a little respect the next time you walk into the dark woods.